Ave Regina, Mater misericordiae, vita dulcedo, estes nostra salve.
The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. On a certain Sabbath, Jesus went into the synagogue and taught. And there was a man there whose right hand was withered. The scribes and the Pharisees watched him closely to see if he would cure on the Sabbath, so that they might discover a reason to accuse him. But he realized their intentions and said to the man with the withered hand, "Come up here, stand before us." And he rose and stood there. Then Jesus said to them, "I ask you, is it lawful to do good on the Sabbath rather than to do evil? To save life rather than to destroy it?" Looking around at them all, he then said to him, "Stretch out your hand." He did so, and his hand was restored. But they became enraged and discussed together what they might do to Jesus. The Gospel of the Lord. In the middle of a very tense situation, Jesus makes himself available. He reveals the virtue of courage, to be able to stand up, to be able to do the right thing, even when people are against you. The risk of doing the right thing and facing even persecution, which is what the scribes and the Pharisees were trying to contrive against him. And then he says to this man with the withered hand, he says, "Come and stand here." He invites this man with the withered hand to participate in the courage of Christ, because they're not only against Jesus for doing something on the Sabbath, but this man will become complicit with Jesus' scheming plan. And so he has to have courage to step forward and listen to what Jesus has to say. It's going to be a suffering for him. However, doing the right thing sometimes in our culture today is considered a sin. Things that we thought were virtuous have now been seen as sin. It's a sin that I would prevent the taking of a human life out of the womb of a mother. That's considered a sin today. Imagine that. And so people of courage must stand up and do the right thing. And sometimes it costs us some suffering. As St. Paul says, "I rejoice in suffering for the sake of Christ." Because in any suffering, we join Jesus on the cross. We're with him. Then Jesus says to this man, "Stretch out your hand." Stretch out your hand. It's a gesture, him stretching out his hand. It's a gesture of desiring the help that Christ wants to give me. Oftentimes it happens that Jesus is the last one we cry out to. When we've considered all of the worldly solutions and we finally figure out it's not working. Perhaps we must go to Jesus even more quickly with the desire for his help. In stretching out his hand, this man is reaching out to Jesus. He's responding to Christ's invitation. He is exhibiting an act of free will to give himself to Christ. We do the same thing when we come up for communion, don't we? We stretch out our hand, hoping to receive a healing, hoping to receive his mercy, desiring to receive a deeper communion with him because we are sharing in his body, blood, soul, and divinity. And in prayer, we reach out our hands to commune with Jesus, to speak with him, to thank him, and even to petition him. And reaching out the hand is the invitation then to let Jesus finally take control. He will not impose himself on us because he respects our freedom. But how many times have we not allowed him to take control and it became bad for us? And so we trust in Jesus and we respond to the invitation to stretch out our hand and allow him to take control of our situations, even when we are in misery.
Regina Celi, letare, alleluia, qui aquam meruisti portare, alleluia, resurrexit sicut dixit, alleluia, ora pro nobis Deum, alleluia.